Raised to be a Christian believer, but also as a seeker. Mama never held back the good, bad, or ugly from me. Eventually started wondering, after a long time of fighting myself. I saw a post that said exactly what I felt. Jesus, an ancient deception. Found Adam Green through a Twitter suggestion. Then I watched his debate with Duvid, leaving Christianity. Finally I could do it. Lost good friends, middle fingers on their hands. So many want to remain clueless. I feel like Adam Green sometimes. I'm just asking you to see my side. Some say I'm anti-Semitic, others say that I'm a Jew, but the truth is I am neither, I'm just trying to reach you. I feel like Adam Green sometimes. I know what it's like to be seen as the devil, when in reality you're trying to help them. They say I need to be saved by Jesus, but they're the ones in need of the saving. There's already been a few, started with the fall of Rome. It's not God, it's evil people destroying these homes. Human-made prophecies try to start the end times. See a foreign land as holy, brainwashed to resent mine. Books our ancestors wanted passed down to their people got replaced with ones that say our ancestors were evil. Been worshiping demons and knowing not what they did. Should we trust ourselves or the books that make us villains? You fall for the latter and say we should be tolerant, but your faith builds a prison in your head. I feel like Adam Green sometimes. Fall for the latter and say I'm asking you to see my side. And one group says I'm anti-Semitic, another says that I'm a Jew, and the truth is I am neither, I'm just trying to reach you. I feel like Adam Green sometimes. And I'm all for not letting faith have us divided. But the spread of your faith was when all this deadly division started. I feel like Adam Green sometimes. I need you all to see my side. I've seen it, I believe it. And one group says I'm anti-Semitic, another says that I'm a Jew, and the truth is I am neither, I'm just trying to reach you. Can you see my view? Listen to Adam Green sometimes.
What's up, guys? Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you all for joining me today, Monday, June 2nd, 2025. I hope you all had a good weekend. Got a huge show for you guys today. Ton of stuff has been happening. Ukraine strikes back on Russia, used drones to attack a bunch of their bomber planes. We have some stuff about the Palantir takeover. Trump working with Palantir to have a huge database on every American and more. There's the terrorist attack in Boulder, Colorado at the Israeli hostage protest. We got Greta, the climate change girl, going on a boat to Gaza to break the blockade. We've got some more Black Viking propaganda, and we'll close it out with some kosher Jesus information. Shout out to Need More Amalek for the remix of the Feel Like Adam Green Sometime song and video, the emo version. I enjoyed that, thought that was cool. And forgot to put, we got new shirts available on the website. I forgot to put the link is in the description down below for the Power Chat. This show is sponsored by you guys and your Power Chats and your Subscribe Star monthly donations and the P.O. box below. There's one.
Communism illusion paved the way for Trump. It's the greatest deception of our age ever twisted in itself. You can't fight commonality with commonalty ideologies which submit to authority.
Thank you. Was that Alex Jones? Power Chat needs to work on the Alex Jones voice. Thank you for that. Hold on, I'll get the Power Chat up and see who that was again. And got the message pinned. I always forget about the Power Chat, and it takes a second to load. Let's start with the Reuters video about the Ukrainian attack, and then we're going to get into some of Alex Jones. Alex Jones is like, all of his tweets about Russia-Ukraine get the most likes, probably Russian botted, but he is such a Russian propagandist. I wouldn't doubt for a second that he's compromised by Russia, blackmailed, bought off something. He is such a Russian stooge.
These videos obtained by Reuters were said to show recordings of Ukrainian drone strikes on Russian airfields in several regions, including thousands of miles away from the front lines in Siberia. Reuters was able to verify the locations of the recordings, but not the dates. Ukraine's domestic security agent...
Deep inside of Russia, all of their, nuclear-capable bombers, one after the other lined up, destroyed by drones with bombs on them. And apparently Ukraine drove a cargo container, and maybe the driver didn't even know what was in there. They opened up, the drones went and attacked all these planes, and Russia is pissed. They're saying estimated $7 billion in damage. And apparently they're all out here in the open because that's the law, that nuclear weapons have to be out in the open. They can't be hidden away or something, which seems odd.
And see, the SBU acknowledged that it carried out the attacks, codenamed Spider's Web, and said they caused considerable damage, which it estimated at $7 billion. A Ukrainian security official said 41 planes on 4 bases were hit, which Reuters could not verify, but the Russian Defense Ministry confirmed aircraft were damaged and set on fire. It said no casualties were reported, and some of the individuals involved in the attacks were detained. On Sunday, Ukraine...
Completely legitimate military attack, nobody harmed, only these bomber planes that are used to kill Ukrainians.
President Volodymyr Zelensky praised the operation.
Greetings, dear Ukrainian men and women. I just heard the report by Chief of Security Service of Ukraine, Vasyl Malyuka. A brilliant operation was conducted on the enemy's territory, exclusively against military targets, against equipment that was used to deliver strikes at Ukraine.
Oh, I thought Ukraine already lost. I thought the war was supposed to end years ago. That's what all the Russian propagandists were saying.
Very tangible losses by Russia, and absolutely just losses which they deserved.
Справедливі, заслужені їхні втрати.
The Ukrainian security officials said explosive-laden drones were hidden inside the roofs of wooden sheds, as seen in these photos shared by the Ukrainian security service, which Reuters could not verify. The sheds were driven near the Russian bases.
The drone warfare is really taking off. It reminds me, we're talking about Palantir later. I'll have to look up that Palantir commercial that they had, and it showed all the drone swarms happening.
The drones were then activated remotely. Ukraine's long-range strike drones or ballistic missiles don't have the range to reach targets this far away, which required the approach used here. Zelensky said the operation had taken more than a year and a half to prepare.
Year and a half to prepare. Here's this. Here's the Palantir drone commercial. Battles are won before they begin. I remember Elon sharing some drone videos like that as well. Modern warfare is drone swarms, apparently. So, like I said, Alex Jones, big-time Russian propagandist now, constantly blaming everything for the West. Putin can do no wrong. Putin's always in the right. The West is always to blame. He wants to always calling for NATO to be disbanded, for us to pull out of NATO. These are the main Russian agenda talking points. He says, Ukraine hit air bases thousands of miles inside Russia in audacious military operation. I am posting the CNN story headline because Grok will say none of this is happening. Nobody's saying it's not happening, you retard. The Trump administration was not given a heads up about the operation. As far as you know, as far as they said, an administration official told CNN, this is 100% a NATO operation aimed at derailing the peace talks and massively escalating the war. But all of the drone attacks that Putin did on Kiev last week or 2 weeks ago, that's not derailing the peace talks. The fact that Putin's not agreeing to any negotiations with Trump, that's not messing up the peace talks. It's like, according to these Russian propagandists like Alex Jones, Ukraine has to give up the land that that Russia invaded, and completely cave and back down and give up the land and not join NATO and cave to all of Russia's demands. Otherwise, they're escalating the war. NATO has officially attacked Russia in desperate attempt to stop Trump's peace plan. This is totally insane. Trump must pull out of NATO now. Pull out of NATO. Pull out of NATO. All he ever says over and over again, which is Russia's main objective. You know what's interesting too is Russia doesn't have like free speech in their country where you can have a bunch of people from the West pretending like they're Russian patriots but constantly speaking against Putin and being pro-NATO. They don't allow that, but the West has more freedom, so they're allowed to have their Russian agents inject all of their propaganda into our discourse, like Jones.
Articles bragging about these unprecedented. NATO knows that Trump is very close to securing a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia, and so today they ramped up drone attacks.
Russia just ramped up their drone attacks last week. And he doesn't care. He doesn't shed a tear for all the dead Ukrainians. It's just no big deal anytime Russia invades or they bomb Ukraine. But Ukraine strikes back and strikes a bunch of their planes, and Alex loses his mind.
Against Russian nuclear bombers, military bases, and trains and other facilities at a level unprecedented. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of drones clearly directed by NATO communications guidance systems. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the most dangerous point yet we've been at in this war, because NATO wants to escalate this and wants to see Putin
It's always the West and NATO and Ukraine escalating. It's always them escalating and not agreeing. That's the talking point ever. Ukraine can never do anything right, and Putin can never do anything wrong. That's Alex Jones's view.
Respond even more than he did a week and a half ago to the doubling of drone attacks that Ukraine has launched in the last month. And so while Zelensky for the Western media talks about peace, he's all over Ukrainian television. Go to the Drudge Report, you can see the articles bragging about these unprecedented attacks. And this is the globalists want to continue to have control over the world narrative and to derail Trump's peace initiative, where we're winning the
derail Trump's peace initiative. He was just calling Putin a crazy killer the other day.
Alcides Flores sent $10 on Rumble. Hi, Adam.
Hi. Thank you, Alcides, for the support over on Rumble. Trump is just last week calling Putin a crazy killer and that he doesn't want peace and he wants all of Ukraine. And by the way, Alex promised you that Trump would end the war and we would have no World War III if Trump got in. Where did that go?
Economics, we're winning via soft power. America's coming back from the dead, and the globalists are trying to stand in the way of this right now. So pray for peace, get the truth out. This is not Trump behind this escalation. He wants a de-escalation. This is the Northern group that's the majority of NATO countries that formed this new alliance, and they had promised they were going to do this. And just last week, NATO and the EU said
they're in a war. Why should Ukraine not be striking Putin's bomber planes if they're in a war?
They're going to take full restrictions off long-range bombing with their missiles all over Russia. And so we are officially at war with Russia.
This is the red line that Putin talked about for so long. If you use American satellites to strike deep within Russia, he'll consider that they're at war with us.
And Kellogg, the head U.S. envoy to Ukraine, General Kellogg, said we are at war with Russia, and that's why this needs to stop. Russia knows it. We know it. This proxy war is boiling over and is totally insane. I am begging everyone out there to understand that the globalist system is collapsing right now, and the only way they can try to maintain control is a new world war. And we're already in that right now.
I love how he'll never talk about all the Zionists and all the rabbis that want World War III and Gog and Magog. Has he ever mentioned Gog and Magog once? It's the globalist, Atlanticist, NATO, European Union. They all want the war, but we'll never talk about Gog and Magog and the rabbis and how all the rabbis want America in a war with Iran, Russia, and China. That's how you know he's full of shit.
And all the war games lead right towards thermonuclear war and Armageddon. So for all the crazies out there, all the leftists that love evil and love war and everything else, you're getting what you want right now. And I predict we're going to see a massive response from the Russians. And the corporate media will say, look,
oh yeah,
they're attacking Ukraine for no reason. NATO started the war.
NATO started the war because Ukraine wanted to join NATO because they're scared of Russia, because they've seen the Russian rhetoric. They don't want to be under the Soviet Union. They're a free country. They can join NATO if they want. They were justified in trying to join NATO because Russia invaded. If Russia is so scared of NATO, invading puts them more at risk from NATO. What did you say here again?
We're going to see a massive response from the Russians. And the corporate media will say, look.
The John Master sent $20 as a hobo god. Reject him. More Tay will get you.
Tay Zonda will get you. What is that? What is that, Andrew Tate? Thank you, John Master. Tay Zonde will get you. I don't know who Tay Zonde is.
Ukraine for no reason. NATO started the war.
NATO started the war. See, it's their fault. See, they made Putin invade. Always scapegoating the West. No responsibility at all for Putin invading Ukraine.
Through the governments of Ukraine, they did all of this. They brag about it, for God's sakes. And finally, the Trump administration comes out yesterday and admits all that and says we need to stop this, and now this happens. This is NATO and the EU trying to keep us in this war, and it...
You see, Ukraine fighting back against Russia is escalating the war. That's how he frames it. You just need to lose, give up the land, or you're escalating. That'd be like me grabbing the kid down the street and punch him in the face and go, hey, keep taking these punches, otherwise you're escalating the fight.
It is psychotic. It is flirting with planetary suicide. That's the facts.
That is true. We are on the verge of World War III, if not already in World War III. And he'll never tell you about all the prophecies of the rabbis obsessing over this. Never. But he's on the verge of tears because Ukraine attacked some Russian bombers. Never said a word about all the white Christian Ukrainians that have been bombed. Never a word or a shed tear about that. But Ukraine blows up some planes, and he's losing his mind and saying this is all their fault and it's the end of the war. He's such a fraud. What does Russia have on you? Mind you, too, the rhetoric is always, oh, pull out of NATO, disband NATO, NATO. Because NATO is the only thing that's stopping Russia from their agenda. Hey, Mandy Freeman, you could fuck off. You're blocked forever. Go move to Russia. Okay, so here's the Russian Jew that Alex Jones always has on his show. Yo, thank you. Watch the collapse.
Sent $10 on Rumble. Thank you for your hard work, brother. Jones is such a cuck, disingenuous, dishonest. Running cover for Putin, running cover for Trump and the rabbis.
Exactly. And people say this all the time. Oh, you work for Ukraine. Why do you love Ukraine so much? You're a global homo like Ukraine. I don't really give a shit about Ukraine. I'm not Ukrainian. I'm not like a pro-Ukrainian person. I just know Russian propaganda when I see it. Okay, so Alex Jones, speaking of Russian propaganda, always has on this Russian Jew, Putin's top propagandist, who reveals here on Russian television that they're preparing for war against NATO while all the Russian agents are in the West vilifying NATO and saying it needs to be broken up.
Фразы. Но ясно, что он находится в каком-то там информационном пузыре, не задают элементарных вопросов. Ну, вот что он пишет. Что Владимир Путин не понимает, так это то, что если бы не я, со Россией уже...
So this is in response to Trump just the other day talking about Putin.
Случилось бы очень много плохих вещей. Я имею в виду действительно плохие. Он играет с огнем.
Things will be really bad. He's playing with fire.
При всем уважении к
With all respect to Trump,
мне кажется, что
I think Donald Trump is the one who does not understand.
не Россия.
Yo,
Joe
thank you,
Master
John.
sent $20 to you. He's a cringe liberal black singer who is effeminate, if you know what I mean. Why doesn't Alex Jones also point in the globalism of the rabbis and the schist? I call the fake schist like shyster now.
I know, that's what I'm wondering. That's the $1 million question.
Не верховного главнокомандующего. Мы изначально готовы.
And don't forget, Alex Jones has his son converted to Russian Orthodox Church, and his top manager, producer is Russian. What's her name? Daria something. From the beginning, we've been preparing for a war against NATO with their hypersonic nuclear weapons and their drone swarms and their submarines. Hear that? While Alex Jones is always bringing on Dugin and this guy, this Russian Jew, and the Russian that got exchanged in the WNBA player swap, bringing on all these Russian propagandists. Meanwhile, constantly talking about breaking up NATO and pulling out of NATO. From the beginning, we've been preparing for war against NATO. And part of their war against NATO is guys like Alex Jones constantly saying that we need to pull out of NATO. Do you not get that? Let your defenses down.
Когда идут фразы о том, что можем сделать что-то плохое.
So when you say we can do something bad, let us remind you of something. We can destroy the world several times over. Oh, they're no threat. They're our best friends. We should break up NATO.
Весь мир несколько раз. Но ясно, что он находится в каком-то...
Destroy the world several times over. Here's Jones again. NATO is openly trying to start a nuclear war with Russia. See, Russia invading, Russia having all these nuclear bombs. They're not doing anything wrong. Moscow is under attack again. So Russia can attack Ukraine as much as they want. And then it's Ukraine's fault still. They strike back. They get a big hit with these bombers. And they're trying to start war. His propaganda, and look, 20,000 likes. He had his other one, the other
Kira Kirsten sent
41,000
$5 on
likes.
Rumble. Hail the green pill /
Thank you, Kira.
white heart emoji.
Heart emoji to you too, Kira. Thank you. 41,000 likes, 3.2 million views. I'm telling you, he is the voice of Putin in the Kremlin. This video he puts up, NATO is openly trying to start a nuclear war with Russia. Moscow is under attack again the night before the peace talks. Trump has been trying peace talks since he got elected. Putin's not going for it. That's why Putin started calling him out. Jones should be registered as a foreign agent at this point. I remember his wife leaked that he had a Russian visa as well. I don't know what that was about. But look, community noted, this is an old video from December 2023, not related to this event. Doesn't matter. 1.8 million views, 20,000 likes for Alex Jones's fake news of this explosion. Lindsey Graham has a hard-on watching this video. Zelensky is trying to start World War III. See how it's always Zelensky? Russia could bomb Ukraine and Kiev and try to conquer their land, and it's still Ukraine's fault somehow. So, hey, bend over and give us everything you want. Otherwise, you're causing World War III. I don't even know who this guy is. Vince Langman. Some MAGA kook. 377,000 followers. Fake news again. 11,000 likes. Not real. This is from a video game. Zelensky's trying to start World War III. Fighting back against Russian invasion is trying to start World War III. Never blaming Putin for anything. This is basically what it looked like, though. Except there's no drones. This is ship shooting him. But anyway, these guys and their fake news. If you think NATO backed Ukrainian terrorists, we might as well call them Nazis too. Those Nazi Ukrainian terrorists. Expose Russia's vulnerability by successfully launching attacks deep inside the nation. Just wait until communist China and Iran hit us with their sleeper cells. And that is probably what's happening. That probably will be the response. I wouldn't doubt it. I guess that'll be our fight. Don't fight back, because then they'll retaliate. Alex Jones in September 2024 says, stop World War III. Vote Trump if you want to live. Yeah, how did that age, Jones? Globalists are trying to manipulate Trump into signing off on World War III by supplying Ukraine and NATO with more weapons. Funny how we've got all these compilations of the rabbis fantasizing about World War III, where Edom in the West is destroyed by Iran, Russia, and China, and he'll never tell you about it. The West is officially at war with Russia, and World War III is here. Well, he's technically not wrong about that part, though. RT gets hold of Russia's peace memorandum given to Ukraine. They want Crimea, Donbass, Kherson, Zaporozhye internationally recognized as Russian. Ukraine doesn't join NATO or any military bloc, holds elections, withdraw troops from new Russian regions, and bans Nazi propaganda. We don't need to hear him say it. That's the list. Okay. Here's Putin warning about his advanced missiles.
Температура на этих боевых головках соответствует температуре солнца.
I thought it was dubbed in English. Okay, now on to Palantir. President Trump. Oh, wait, here we go. President Trump, this is recent news over the weekend. Trump has contracted Palantir, Peter Thiel's Palantir, to create a master database on every American citizen. Oh, the very thing that Alex Jones has been warning about for 20 plus years. Now it's Trump and Peter Thiel, who he's ran cover for. Remember when Fuentes was on with Alex Jones the other day? And Alex is like, oh, they're not that big. They're not that big of a deal. They're patriots, actually, blah, blah, blah. See Through It All posted that clip. I'm going to have to look at that real fast and find that. Jones was sweeping for Peter Thiel and Trump and J.D. Vance. New York Times, Trump taps Palantir to compile data on all Americans. That's the latest news now. Trump taps Palantir to create master database on every American. The same company tracking quote-unquote terrorist abroad is now tracking us at home.
One thing, arguably, in the book.
Here's the Jewish CEO, Alex Karp, talking about how they're also going to be combining all the medical data as well. It's going to be like China, social credit score, everything about you in one big database. That database has existed for a long time. It has, but this is an expansion of it, and it's with a private Zionist company. That's the difference.
That a few people get wealthy, and if you said platitudes that were obviously stupid, you could.
You're getting wealthy off of killing Palestinians with Palantir kills Palestinians with their AI and technology.
Oh.
You're killing my family in Palestine.
Yeah. And you know.
How do you sleep at night?
Well, if you.
Shame on you.
Do you want to hear my answer?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. So, I think the primary cause of death to Palestinians. Okay. Do you want to hear the answer, or do you want to yell? Well, you don't want to hear an answer? Obviously. So the primary source of death in Palestine is the fact that Hamas has realized that there are millions and millions of useful idiots that will.
Not wanting Palantir to assist Israel in the slaughter of Palestinians means you're a useful idiot. Okay.
Can we get security up there?
Okay. Mostly terrorists, that's true. She believes I'm evil. I believe she's an unwitting product of an evil force, Hamas. That she unwittingly is part of their strategy, that she is a product. And the most important thing, arguably, in the book, or what Palantir, or what you could learn, is do not become a product of an ideology that sounds sensible.
You mean like Zionism? Here he is. It's funny that Trump is hiring this guy to have a database on all Americans, and here he is bragging that Palantir and their software single-handedly stopped the far right in Europe. Wasn't it Palantir that also helped round up January 6ers too?
Well, we built PG, which single-handedly stopped the rise of the far right in Europe. We built Foundry, which was used to distribute the COVID vaccine and saved millions of lives globally. We built what we call
stopping nationalist groups. They were behind COVID and the rollout of the vaccine in Operation Warp Speed. Database on all Americans, working, like Peter Thiel said, deferring to Israel with their weapons.
Multi-constellation, and what's often called the digital kill chain. And they're category-defining products. So when you deliver these products to the market, just honestly, people say this isn't going to exist, this isn't valuable, but then it changes the market. And then the market is the Palantir market. Now, that doesn't mean everyone in the world is going to buy our product, but it means most of the sensible people in the world are going to buy from the category we defined. Look, we built PG, which...
Bragging about stopping the far right. You know, I just realized Reed, who was the guy Reed that I used to know? Where's he been? Austin Reed or something? I just realized I haven't seen him forever online. Here's Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir, with Yossi Farrow, a Chabadnik that his whole shtick is going around and giving everybody, wrapping them with the Teflon, hanging out with this Jewish buddy. Peter Thiel, the internet was allowed because it was a safe space where violence could be contained. Everybody with their
the ideas on the internet,
digital ghettos.
The ideas on the internet
It was Reed Cloverdale. I have to look up where. I haven't seen him online forever. Did he quit or something? Reed Clover. Yeah, he's gone. You guys remember that guy? Reed, anybody know him? He was like a libertarian type of dude. Reed Cloverdale disappeared.
Maybe they do.
I was on his show once. Oh, that's right. He had a job. He had like a hardcore construction job or something. He probably just stopped posting stuff because it wasn't making any money, I would guess.
Translate into reality every now and then. You know, what happens on Twitter or X doesn't always stay there. Most of the time it stays there. So it feels like it's this extremely angry, intense conversation.
Zionist cuck sent $5 on Rumble. Bolshevism 2.0 incoming. Just remember, Aryans are the real Jews, so we have nothing to fear.
Trust the plan. Saving Israel for last. In the end, we win. Grab your popcorn. Thank Zionist cuck. And he's joking for everybody that doesn't know.
But every now and then it still translates to the real world. So the internet, you could say, was allowed because it was sort of a safe space. It was a place where the sort of violence could be contained.
So they created the internet, and it's probably dead internet theory. Most of the engagement's fake, so they can keep you on the reservation, distracted, controlled, pumping you with disinformation and kosher conspiracies, stopping any real world activism or organization. Got you following all of these Pied Piper, Judas Goat disinformation agents.
And then even there, probably not totally, and even there, people felt it was like maybe too much. But yeah,
maybe too much freedom online. Palantir ran Operation Warp Speed.
Two people that many people know in this room were a big part of that. But it was the teamwork with industry, academia, and the government that really made us successful.
Cooming and consuming. Palantir, that's funny.
Just self-report. The reason why I'm here.
Half of the JQ influencers are probably controlled op. If they're talking about kosher conspiracies, if they're promoting Abrahamic religions, if they are huge Russia shills, good chance on all of them.
Because they were such a great teammate. And Julie and Aaron, two people that many people know in this room, were a big part of that. And I'm going to walk my way through that in a moment. Because I just enjoyed what they did. And I wouldn't be here if that wasn't a part of their persona. And I'll articulate that in a little bit. So, I spent 40 years in the Army. I did 2 in the National Guard while I was finishing college, and I did 38 years of active duty. I started out as an infantry officer and begrudgingly went to...
Yeah, that's right. Whitney Webb has been all over the Palantir thing. So is Derek Bros. Derek Bros was on talking about it as well. And lo and behold, Trump taps them to do the database, exactly what Whitney was warning about. And running Operation Warp Speed, right?
Become a...
as well as a whole litany of a whole bunch of other Unit 8200 Israeli-connected tech companies.
Logistics officer. Turned out, very lucky move for me. I was an average infantry officer. I was a great logistician. My self-reporting. But truthfully, I think, results...
Okay, we get the point. Warp Speed. We don't have to watch that whole clip. Alex Jones, here, let's play this. First, let's play the See Through It All clip of Fuentes. I want to recap on that. Fuentes eviscerates Zionist shill Alex Jones on Palantir. Facial recognition so they know which Palestinians to blow up with drones. I hope in this clip is where Jones goes, oh, they're a small company. People hype them up too much. They're no big deal. Don't worry about it.
It really gives me a lot of concern. They put bombs in the pagers, and they're involved in procurement for the U.S. military. Palantir, all these new generation defense contractors, they're all over Unit 8200. They're all over Ehud Barak over there in Israel. It's filled with shadowy corporations that are funneling their technology into our country. I'm
a little worried that somebody put a bomb in this Thor action figure that they sent me. Do I need to send this through the X-ray machine and make sure there's no listening device or bomb or something in here? And guys, what do you think? Somebody sent this in last week. Should I take it out of the box? I want to take it out of the box and put it right here. Right here, so I can have my pagan idol to make the rabbi seethe.
We're going to trust them in our
Well, I'll say this about Palantir. It's all really the hot thing to say it runs everything and it's so big. It's tiny compared to the other AI.
They're no big deal. Don't worry about Palantir, Goyam. They're no big deal. He's totally running cover for Trump, Elon, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, Alex Karp.
Into our country, we're going to trust them in our
Well, I'll say this about Palantir. It's all really the hot thing to say it runs everything and it's so big. It's tiny compared to the other AI companies and defense stuff. It is trying to...
It's one of the biggest tech companies and fastest growing. You fucking fraud.
Make a run at getting a bunch of big contracts. And so
they're patriots.
What it does. My point is, compared to all these other big companies, it's tiny. And that's why you see the left attacking it a bunch too. So I see a weird alliance.
You're a left. You're aligning with the left if you talk about Palantir. They're no big deal. Go back to sleep, Goyam. You're just on the left if you talk about Palantir. We see your little tricks, Jones.
Compared to all these other big companies, it's tiny. And that's why you see the left attacking it a bunch too. So I see a weird alliance with kind of the anti-Israel folks and the left with the Muslims. And
you're with the Muslims if you talk about Palantir.
Palantir. It's the big thing. I mean, it's
the guy that's been warning about databases and Operation Warp Speed and COVID and stopping the far right, and he's running cover. He is a fucking agent of this. What else do you need to know? If he was legit, he would be screaming from the rooftops about Palantir, but instead we get this bullshit.
Are tiny compared to the other stuff.
But what Palantir is a privatization of the surveillance state. They work for the CIA. They come from the CIA.
And what I've seen is Palantir has been trying to reform the government contracting process.
They're trying to make it more competitive and more efficient, but what they're doing is they're funneling all of our data into the government. Clearview AI is part of that suite. They ripped everybody's faces off of Facebook. Palantir's involved in Gaza doing facial recognition so they know which Palestinians to blow up with drones.
Oh, we got to go to break.
Go to break. Let's not talk about the drone. He's like, oh, okay. Oh, go to break. Imagine that.
Hour coming up.
He laughs. He knows.
I got a bunch of stuff out.
And he comes back from the break and talks about something else. So many times I've seen Jones goes, oh, we had to stop it. There's a hard break for the what's it called. I've been watching Jones for years. He'll have on some shitty guest like Roseanne talking about the stupidest bullshit you've ever heard. And he'll go, this is so good. Skip the break. Skip the break. We're skipping the break. This is such, she's cooking. This is fire. Let's go. Keep going, Roseanne. Tell us about how the Muslim Brotherhood controls Hollywood. Keep going.
I want to hit. And we can talk about Israel as much as you want, because you know, at the end of the day, the more Israel gets persecuted, the more powerful it gets. That's a little part of the plan. So I think what Grok's doing Elon with Grok is really good.
Grok is interesting. I'm more concerned about this suite of companies, though, like Palantir, which is they're feeding all of the
Bring it back, Nick. Good
Palantir
job.
So they can manipulate it with algorithms. And they're everywhere. They're looking at the wastewater during the COVID pandemic.
But you're back to this. I've looked at this.
You're back to this. What are you doing? I went to break so you could stop talking about Palantir. What are you doing back to this? He said, I'll let you finish. We'll go there. He's seething. Stop talking about Palantir. You hear that?
With algorithms.
You went back to this. I told you they're no big deal and you're a Muslim if you talk about Palantir.
Where they're looking at the wastewater during the COVID pandemic.
But you're back to this. I've looked at the scale of Palantir and it's tiny compared
Abraham Mike Tier sent $10. Shut it down. Lol. I like how Nick brings it back.
Yeah. I already told you. I see the chat. They're a mom and pop surveillance company.
DeepSeek and all these others and ChatGPT, and I'm not like defending Peter Thiel. I'm just saying.
Yes, you are.
It's like I get it from the liberals and the.
You're a liberal.
Israel obsessed, whatever you want to call it. So just Palantir.
You mean people rightfully criticizing Israel and Palantir? They're the left. They're Muslims. Oh, they're obsessed. Blah 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 blah.
obsessed. Whatever.
You're obsessed with globalists. You're obsessed with Chi-Coms. You're obsessed with Muslims. You're obsessed with NATO. You're obsessed with a litany of other bullshit distraction nonsense.
Call it. So just Palantir.
They have an enemies list. They have an enemies list of 2 to 3 million people that they've identified as potential violent extremists. And this is being run by Alex Karp. Alex Karp said his biggest fear is that Christian...
Stream down on Rumble. Well, guess who invested in Rumble? Peter Thiel. Imagine that. What, did I mess up the algorithm? Too many mentions of Palantir and Peter Thiel's Rumble shut me down? Yeah, Peter Thiel did help start Rumble. And they got this thing up on Rumble now, Tether, their new crypto that's associated with Howard Lutnick. Are we down still? Odysee's up. We're on Odysee, we're on X. Imagine that. I was thinking should I put Palantir in the title? Because maybe Rumble will suppress me or hurt me. Okay, we're back.
Nationalists will take over the government and throw him out of a window, defenestrate him because he's Jewish. He's running Palantir. Palantir has an enemies list of 3 million people.
So Alex Karp doesn't like you?
I don't think so. I don't know him, but probably not.
But you don't want to throw him out of a window?
I don't want to throw him out of a window, but I don't think he should control Palantir. I don't think he should control military procurement. That's my concern. And Peter Thiel, I mean, he's a suspicious character also. He says he's a Christian, but he's a gay man. He says he's a Christian, but he's really involved with this Rene Girard, who's sort of an interesting philosopher who's involved with a lot of the Straussians out there at the Hoover Institute. So these are two guys I don't...
Yeah, Karp's got a degree basically in classical Western civilization.
But what is Western to these people? You know, according to Harry Jaffa, Western means protecting Israel. And that's who they're all.
And Vanderleyden said that too. We'll be right back in 60 seconds. Stay with us. Back to Israel.
Back to Israel. Good clip, see through it all. Alex Jones knows that Trump is beholden to technocracy in Israel. He doesn't care. Bill Cooper was right, says 7 Seas. And you know how I saw this? Sam Tripoli shared it. What's up, Sam? Sam, you realizing Jones is what I've been saying he is for years? Nice retweet, Sam Tripoli. Very proud of you for this, by the way. Let's hear Jones, Fat Jones, talks about Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, the white hats being persecuted by the deep state.
But there's so much to this, and people are just like, whoa, my gosh, he's FBI informant. But you see that bear? It's got brown fur, and I saw it pooping in the woods. Did you? I saw a salmon in the water. I saw a bird flying in the sky. The whole country's run by this. The intelligence agencies run almost everything. And what they're trying to shut down, they don't run. But the globalists are too arrogant to ever admit that. But now they're starting to get it. Oh, Peter Thiel's not going along with us. He's secretly behind Trump again. We'll just blow his cover. He also wears a hat with the FBI. Well, he doesn't wear it. He has a general's.
Isn't Peter Thiel like Bilderberg Group too? Jones just hand waves that. That's not a big deal. It's like when Jared Kushner and Pompeo in Trump's first term went to Bilderberg. That's not a scandal. It's they're infiltrating Bilderberg. They're taking over Bilderberg. This dude will spin a fucking sweater with his bullshit.
Epaulette in the NSA, and so does Elon Musk, but not at the NSA. Musk is an officer. You think they let people put 10,000 satellites in orbit and run giant heavy boosters, and that guy isn't a crossover where they're transferring government power to corporations? Elon Musk is a officer, deputy in command of Space Force. And Trump was setting up a new agency so he could put his people in it because they blocked him in all the other branches. So,
Peter Thiel is on the steering committee of Bilderberg, huh?
Elon Musk is the deputy head of Space Force. Peter Thiel is one of the top people at the National Security Agency. And that's a fact, and that's the real world. So there you go, Business Insider. Wow, you really scooped it. You really exposed it.
So he does know.
Amazing. Wow, we're really impressed. Ha ha.
So he knows it, and look at how that aged. Okay, so I talked about this a couple streams ago. Mad Crab made this video about technocrats taking over the United States. Remember I did the show with Derek Bros called like Zionist technocrats?
And never really.
We're going to skip. This is 25 minutes. We're going to skip just to the Palantir part. We'll skip over the mold bug, Curtis Yarvin, who's like some philosopher associated with this stuff, and get just straight to the Palantir part. Maybe right here. This is very disturbing and well done. Come on. Let's load.
Its political circles, a new vision for the future is taking shape.
Amber Lemon Pierce at $5, the globalists trying to shut down America for Palantir.
Yeah, that's right. The white hats at Palantir. The globalists are trying to shut down Palantir and Trump and Netanyahu.
Now is the birth of the American technocracy. We're watching an elected government hollowed out from the inside, while billionaires, algorithms, and unelected experts quietly take the wheel. But technocracy isn't just a Black Mirror, far-off sci-fi idea. It's actually been a political project since at least the early 20th century. Howard Scott, who was the founder of the Technical Alliance in New York, once argued that society should be managed by engineers instead of politicians, people who could use data and science to rationally control the production, labor, and resources of the country.
It's only a question of time, and a very short time at that. Because every new advance on the technical field is producing more and more with less and less. And how are you going to distribute the great production of abundance of this technological complex to a social system that is back in the days of George Washington? That's the problem. And they cannot meet it under this system. The most common
Western civilization. Thiel and his network architect of all of this.
J.D. Vance believes essentially buried into
surveillance app
would all agree on that principle.
If Curtis Yarvin and Nick Land wrote the playbook, then Peter Thiel is basically the architect of all of this. He is quietly rewiring the nervous system of the U.S. government as we speak. And before he was a billionaire, before he was building massive surveillance apparatuses, Peter Thiel was just a college libertarian with a newsletter. Back in the 80s, Thiel co-founded a student paper at the Stanford called the Stanford Review. He used it to rail against political correctness, celebrate Ayn Rand, and champion the usual libertarian talking points. But he also co-authored a book called The Diversity Myth, which downplayed racism and argued that efforts to increase diversity were eroding Western civilization. Thiel and his network argued that democratic pluralism and egalitarianism leads to institutional decay, replacing it with a streamlined management system that relies on compliance instead of inclusion. But somewhere along the way, the libertarian ideal of personal freedom mutated or maybe just peeled back into something much darker. Thiel's politics stopped being about liberty and started being about control. In 2009, he infamously wrote, "I no longer believe that freedom and democracy are compatible." And he wasn't just being edgy, because he spent the last 15 years turning that belief into an actual political program. His company Palantir was seeded with CIA funding to do the mass surveillance of the US government that they couldn't legally do after 9/11. It was literally built to resurrect a banned program called Total Information Awareness, except this time run privately with no oversight.
Remember Total Information Awareness? Their patch, their seal had the like Illuminati all-seeing eye on it. That's basically what Palantir is. And Jones says, "Oh, you're just a leftist if you talk about Palantir. You're obsessed with Jews, and you're basically Muslim Brotherhood. You're with the Muslims and the leftists if you talk about Palantir."
Or sunlight whatsoever.
No foreign nation, no hacker should be able to shut down our networks, steal our trade secrets, or invade the privacy of American families, especially our kids. So we're making sure our government integrates intelligence to combat cyber threats, just as we've done to combat terrorism.
Today, Palantir is integrated deeply into the U.S. government infrastructure. It powers police departments, intelligence agencies, immigration enforcement, and even battlefield targeting systems.
Oh, look! It's the tip of the spear. Alex Jones, tip of the spear. PSYOPs. Not Psy Group. Special Operations Command. Alex Jones down in Florida. That's who's working with Trump. What do you know?
And under Trump, Palantir's role expanded dramatically. In fact, it helped ICE track and deport immigrants, even building a program called Immigration OS, which is an operating system for managing.
Peter Thiel was one of the top investors and early investors in Facebook as well.
mass removal of human beings from the United States. At the same time, Palantir signed a strategic partnership with the Israeli Ministry of Defense. They now help coordinate airstrikes and battlefield analytics using AI for the IDF in Gaza.
So what do you think about the use of artificial intelligence or lavender by the IDF in identifying Hamas targets? And secondly, do you agree with Elon Musk about that the population decline is a risk for humanity?
Look, I'm not, without going into all the I'm not on top of all the details of what's going on in Israel because my bias is to defer to Israel.
This is a man who in his college years once championed individual liberty and is now selling predictive law enforcement and digital targeting systems to foreign governments literally engaged in genocide. But Thiel isn't just selling surveillance, he's replacing the back end of the US government. His VC firm backed a company called Ramp, which uses AI to analyze corporate spending. Ramp is now quietly in talks with the General Service.
Also, Trump just tapped Palantir to do some like investigate mortgage fraud or something like that too. Nationwide.
His admission to take over a federal government's $700 billion smart pay program, essentially the government's internal credit card system. And if that goes through Ramp, and by extension Peter Thiel, will be literally managing the financial infrastructure of federal agencies. And this isn't just about the companies. Thiel has spent years placing his people throughout the second Trump administration. By 2025, at least 18 former Palantir staffers, Thiel Foundation fellows, and PayPal Mafia affiliates were embedded deeply inside Trump's agencies in the new Department of Government Efficiency.
Lutnick spoke at the World Economic Forum. That's the new Commerce Secretary. The guy that brought Trump to Chabad Lubavitch.
Also known as Doge. So the guy who used to argue that against big government is now basically running the entire thing from the inside, except with better branding and zero accountability, with a direct line to the White House. Because Peter Thiel's revolution isn't just rhetorical, it's administrative. It's about replacing the slow public mechanisms of the government with fast private infrastructure that nobody voted for. He is quite literally replacing the nervous system of the US government. And the politician he's chosen to front it all was J.D. Vance, his $15 million investment that ended up being the vice president. If Peter Thiel is building the machine, then Vance is the political interface.
Yo, thanks, Ghost of Eldon.
Sent $10 on Rumble. Happy Pride Month, Adam. Me thinking my crazy ex-girlfriend was possessed by a demon cause she was bisexual lead me to the Bible. Understanding the Bible lead me to the green pill. Life is strange.
Wow, what a trajectory. Well, at least you're here. At least you got it now. Thank you, buddy.
It's the friendliest face of the New World Order. Vance first entered public life with Hillbilly Elegy, a best-selling memoir turned Netflix documentary about his life in post-industrial Appalachia. But the book got framed as this kind of like Rosetta Stone for understanding Trump supporters, the white, culturally conservative working class. And at the time, Vance came off as thoughtful, measured, a guy who wanted to explain a complex world to a coastal elite that didn't get it. You got a Netflix movie, and for a while, people were talking about him like he was going to be a reasonable figure for the Republican Party. And then Peter...
They made a movie about J.D. Vance on Netflix? I didn't know that.
Called. After hearing Thiel speak again...
So totally propped up, astroturfed?
Well, Vance decided to leave law and politics and go into venture capital. Thiel hired him into Mithri Capital, then funded his own firm, Naira Capital, and in 2022, Thiel dropped $15 million on Vance's Senate campaign, one of the largest political donations in modern U.S. history. And that money worked because Vance won his Senate seat, and he didn't forget who helped him get there. On the campaign trail for Trump's presidency, Vance's rhetoric began warning that America may need a strong executive who could temporarily suspend parts of the Constitution to restore order in Washington.
The thing you need to do, step one in the process, is to totally replace.
This was that conservative influencer that like turned out to be doing like gay porn or something like that.
Like rip out like a tumor the current American leadership class. Republicans, conservatives, we're still terrified of wielding power, of actually doing the job that the people sent us here to do.
Finally, you need a CEO, and a national CEO is what's called a dictator.
It's stupid. We've got to get comfortable with wielding power.
And with their Zionist dictator.
Dictator. If Americans want to change the government, they're going to have to get over the dictator phobia.
And then maybe most tellingly, he publicly praised Curtis Yarvin.
So one is like, you know, there's this guy Curtis Yarvin who's written about some of these things. And so one is to basically accept that this entire thing is going to fall in on itself, right? And so the task of conservatives right now is to preserve as much as can be preserved. And then when the inevitable collapse of the country comes, ensure that conservatives are able to sort of help build back the country in a way that's actually better, not Joe Biden's build back better, but actually some sort of reconstruction of the country.
JD Vance isn't a puppet. He's literally repeating Thiel's line. This is a man who is a front runner in the 2028 elections, and he is 100% on board with technocracy. Elon Musk acts as the cultural avatar of the new technocracy. He's the guy who makes dystopia look cool. Musk built his brand as this anti-establishment billionaire and the free speech warrior or space cowboy. He's this eccentric genius who's supposedly outmaneuvering the deep state to save the planet. But behind all of the memes and the sycophantic fanboys, Musk has quietly positioned himself at the center of a very specific ideological project, not to challenge the system, but to replace it. Musk warned that automation would eliminate most jobs.
Fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are not things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen.
In a benign scenario, probably none of us will have a job. There will be, but in that benign scenario, there will be universal high income, not universal basic income, universal high income. There will be no shortage of goods or services.
All the things Alex Jones has been warning about for decades, but he's Elon's biggest cheerleader now. Imagine that. Who was telling you that Jones is helping to usher in the New World Order in the name of fighting the New World Order for 10 years now?
I think the benign scenario is the most likely scenario, probably, 80% likely if you ask, in my opinion. The question will not be one of lacking goods or services. You'll have, everyone will have access to as much in the way of goods and services as they would like. The question will really be one of meaning, of how, if the computer can do, and the robots can do everything better than you, then what does your life have meaning? That's really will be the question in the benign scenario. And in the negative scenario, all bets are off. We're in deep trouble.
The country will have AIs or multiple AIs. So, and there will be a lot of robots.
There'll be a lot of robots. But we had
way more robots than people.
Yeah, let's have that conversation a second, because people are concerned about, as you said, dwindling populations. AI and robots have potential to help support the GDP.
Yes.
Congratulations on Optimus 2 and soon Optimus 3. Your prediction on the number of robots by 2040, humanoid robots to be specific, what order of magnitude?
By 2040?
Yeah, so.
I think by if you say like 2040, probably there are more humanoid robots than there are people.
When people cheer on Musk, it's not because he's hiding it.
And that's not because there's going to be billions of robots, but because there's not going to be billions of people. You think they're going to keep billions of useless eaters, as they call them, around to give them a high universal basic income so they can sit around and scroll on X and watch Netflix all day? No.
it's because he's making it sound like progress. But under the surface, the vision's very clear. Automation replaces labor, AI replaces thinking, and the government itself, well, that becomes the Department of Government Efficiency run by Musk himself. In Trump's second term...
Yeah, we're going to have to end up banning AI and robotics like Dune. Dune nailed it. They're controlling us with prophecy, and the robotic AI takeover is going to lead to disaster. Guy's basically a prophet.
Musk now leads Doge, which under the surface is just a bureaucratically optimized initiative to remake the executive branch into Silicon Valley's image. But behind Musk, there's more than a dozen Palantir engineers, Thiel Foundation fellows, and venture-funded operators who are now embedded in federal departments.
Yeah, we are seeing the likes of Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and others.
And there's Alex Karp, Palantir, and both Elon and Peter Thiel were co-founders at PayPal. So they've been doing business together since the beginning.
Other media moguls, they're all gathered in one room to help build a foundation for bipartisan tech policy.
Zuckerberg, too.
A group formed to create insights, to understand the situation. Then you have proposed rulemaking. You'll get some objections from industry or whatever. And then ultimately you get sort of a consensus on rulemaking.
Now, what's so notable here, of course, is that he says regulators should not just jump into the deep end, but of course, critics have been saying all along that that is exactly what large companies have been doing. They are leaping in and releasing these models to the public, and in the process, basically sort of baking in all sorts of tendencies and patterns into AI at a time when we don't even really have a good way yet of understanding which writing on the internet is AI generated and which is human generated. So lots of criticisms of this at the same time that it was a rare opportunity to bring some of the top minds in AI to Capitol Hill to talk to lawmakers.
Yeah. Can you stay on that point for just a minute, Jake?
You know Twitter and the internet is so botted. That's why all the kosher Christian anti-Semitism and Jesus shit is all botted to Kingdom Come and goes crazy viral. They want you on the Judeo plantation. They want you believing in prophecies of New World Order and Mark of the Beast and inevitable wars.
Because I think that criticism is really important, because sort of to put it another way, this is an AI regulation forum dominated by CEOs who realistically have very little interest in being regulated.
Musk doesn't need to cite the philosophy bros like Nick Land or Curtis Yarvin because he's literally acceleration in practice. He moves fast, breaks the system, and then we build something colder and cleaner and
self-driving cars
in its place.
AI doesn't have to be evil to destroy humanity. If AI has a goal and humanity just happens to be in the way, it will destroy humanity as a matter of course, without even thinking about it. No hard feelings. No hard feelings.
So he has no hard feelings too, is why that slow down, replay, slow down. No hard feelings. It's like crushing an ant.
It's just like if we're building a road and an anthill happens to be in the way, we don't hate ants. We're just building a road. And so goodbye anthill. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Doesn't work out.
Do you believe in God?
I don't believe in anything.
The huge irony of all of this is that when Klaus Schwab talks about the fourth industrial revolution, people panic, but when Musk says it, people line up for pre-orders and they cheer. Elon Musk is simply...
Zornder Edoms is wearing the shirt. Thank you, Edom. Says the entire Jewish mainstream alternative media is a honeypot. That's why X allowed anti-Semitism for a while to ID all their enemies. Just like 4chan. All the posts on 4chan were also coming from Israel as well.
Simply the update to the mask. Because once the robots are working and the algorithms are all thinking for you, the question isn't whether you're free, but if you're still necessary as a human being. All of these figures are behind Trump because he is the blunt force object that is clearing the way. He's not destroying the deep state, he is simply making room for a new one, a more private sector, AI augmented, tech funded, and ideologically streamlined version of the state. This isn't about bringing back 1950s America, it's about building a new kind of state one that runs more like a tech startup. And for anyone who thinks that Trump is just too chaotic and too impulsive, too undisciplined to pull this off, you're right, because he doesn't have to be the one running the machine, because the real power isn't in the Oval Office, it's in the network of billionaires and cloud servers and venture funds and machine learning algorithms and surveillance tools.
And this is how Trump got into office in the first place, like Israeli NSO Group and Cambridge Analytica and all these high-tech companies. That's why he's so popular.
They're all running the show. That's who's
running
now.
the show.
All of the Palantir operatives are here to stay, including J.D. Vance, who's next in line for the presidency in 2028. This is a systems update. And unless we resist with any sort of real labor or organizing or collective power, we're just going to keep spiraling into a techno-feudal, post-capitalist empire where human beings are just data points on a spreadsheet.
You know, you have the richest person in the world, Elon Musk, and a group of other billionaires, like Donald Trump, who is a billionaire, claiming that they are against elites. If you're not an elite, so what is an elite? Like, the richest person in the world is not an elite. All these billionaires who are now running the US government, oh, they are not elites. Why?
Owned by, what is his name? Yuval Harari, what is his name? Good job, Big Mad Crab. Great video. Have to get you on, bro. Big Mad Crab. Learned about him pretty recently. He's following me. Yo, Abraham in Matrix.
The Abraham Matrix sent $5 on Rumble. Check your DM on X for a bill pertaining to the AI takeover I just sent.
Okay, a little more on the AI takeover, huh? Let's see. The big, beautiful bill. Let's hear. I've been hearing a lot about this big, beautiful bill that Trump's trying to pass. Haven't looked too far into it. Let's see here. It's probably the most terrifying legislation I've ever read. No state or political subdivision may enforce any law regulating AI or AI automated threat detection for 10 years, and it holds no liability for anything it does. Department of Commerce, AI systems, automated decision, automated threat detection. No state or political subdivision, therefore, may enforce any law or regulation regulating artificial intelligence. Oh, my God. They're trying to put it into law that we can't have any regulation on AI. I thought Elon was supposed to be like the we need to regulate AI guy.
So, Terrorism sent $5. Musk, harbinger of the science slave system. Off topic. Ron just published a pretty solid article summarizing the quote-unquote true history of World War II. Highly recommend. Adam.
Thank you, Zornder Edom. Okay, so that's crazy. That's in this new bill. No regulation on any AI. I wonder who that benefits. Primary purpose is to remove legal impediments or facilitate the deployment or operation of artificial intelligence model, AI system, or automated decision. Does not impose civil liability. So no liability, no regulations. I'm sure that'll go real nice. If AI kills an American citizen, who is liable? What happens if you cannot pass any law to stop it for the next 10 years? What's going to stop it from... This is literally Terminator. This is like the Terminator plot. We need AI regulation to make sure we prevent AI regulation, right? Wow. 1984 shared a good thread on NSO Group and Trump getting into office and how that was all a bunch of high-tech bullshit, too. Wait. All right. Now moving on to the latest attack, which the media is saying was a white man, a white male, named Mohammed. Apparently some old Zionist lady got burnt by a Molotov cocktail. They first reported that there were children casualties. That's not true. They lied about that. It was already bad enough. They didn't mean to lie any harder.
Stay away. He's right there. He's throwing Molotov cocktails right there.
So this is the university in Boulder, Colorado. some Zionists were having like a free the hostages protest or demonstration, and some Muslim guy reportedly posed as a lawn maintenance guy and then started throwing Molotov cocktails at people.
Where you fucking belong! And you're going to jail, man. I don't give a fuck. You don't antagonize shit like that. You cause this shit.
Who is this guy? You don't antagonize the guy with Molotov cocktails, you're going to jail? Doubt it.
Right. You don't do anything. Chill.
Look at these clowns.
And you're going to jail, man. I don't give a fuck. You don't antagonize shit like that. You cause this shit. He's not. Right. He didn't do anything. Chill. I don't want to hear it. Everybody get back. Everybody get back. Everybody get back. He's right there. He's on the ground right there. Who was the person?
An Orthodox priest?
Right here. This guy right here. This guy is the one
Well, why is this guy seething about this guy?
Just stay away. Just stay away. He's right there. He's throwing Molotov cocktails right there.
Okay, and there's video number 1.
We're here, bro. We're here. We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing. We can. Not here. Not here, bro. You're not.
People taking video right now. He was wearing an orange suit with like something on his back.
Spraying alcohol.
Spraying alcohol, but what he did was he made it look like he was here.
He's making Molotov cocktails.
Well, what did that lady said? It made it.
With like something on his back.
Spraying alcohol.
Spraying alcohol, but what he
Oh, okay. So this thing, he had like the thing on his back that holds like weed killer, and they're saying it was alcohol.
He's making Molotov cocktails.
And for us,
He says Palestine is free.
Well, we can't do it when he's got Molotov cocktails on.
if you are fighting, you have the
Yes, he's got.
Muslim in the country illegally, came under a Biden visa and didn't leave when he was supposed to. A sanctuary city.
Get back, Mom.
How many children?
We're here, bro. We're here. We can't do that.
Is this the one? Somebody got a photo where it's like the Muslim with bombing people, and there's a pride flag behind him on the building.
People are taking video right now.
Zionist.
He was wearing an orange suit with like something on his.
He was wearing that, an orange suit with that on his back filled with alcohol or gasoline to spray people. Gasoline. Okay, there's the photo.
And for us. But we can't do it when he's got Molotov cocktails on.
If you are fighting, you have the.
That's what he's got right here. Is Molotov. Right there.
They are killers.
We're here, bro. We're here. We can't do nothing about that. We can't do nothing.
It's like a copycat. There was the shooting that happened a week or two ago, and then now I bet you we're just going to see even more of these. Foreigners are fighting their Middle Eastern battles on American soil. Mohammed Soliman as the suspect. Did I already play the clip where it said it's a white male?
Ultimately charged in this crime. As far as the investigation itself.
Why didn't the guy run away after the fact, too? That's a little odd. He's just going to stand there and yell at everybody? No escape plan? He's ready just to go to prison for the rest of his life?
We're still trying to verify and confirm some video, but it appears to show a significant portion of the incident as it happened. There's an individual that's taken into custody. He's a white male. Whether or not that's the person that police ultimately arrested and will ultimately charge in this crime, a bit of a question at this time. But that's just
a white male. Come on. Greenblatt gets to go on MSNBC again to talk about this.
The elderly. Here I'm asking you again, as I've asked you too many times before, your reaction after...
It's funny how the Zionists just lie. It was first reported that there was children casualties, dead kids.
Here I'm asking you again, as I've asked you too many times before.
He was
your
Egyptian,
reaction after
right.
what we saw today in Colorado.
Look, in fairness,
Ray Liotta. He does look like Ray Liotta.
I would be remiss if I didn't start the piece by talking about the fact that we need to have our hearts go out to the people who were injured, the elderly people. I'm very sad and hope they have a recovery. But I must tell you, Chris, the feeling that I have right now is anger. I am angry that we keep talking about this. I am angry that for the second time in 2 weeks, people...
Yeah, well, people are angry about what's happening in Gaza at the same time, dude.
At a peaceful event.
It's not like people are attacking because they just hate Jews for no reason. And I'm not justifying random acts of violence like this at all. This ultimately just helps the Zionist narrative, just like the shooting did last week. But trying to frame this as just like hating Jews is dishonest.
Attacked, were brutally assaulted simply because they were either Jewish or associated with something Jewish. The shooter who slaughtered a young couple last week in D.C., he yelled, "Free, free Palestine." Today, the man who threw the Molotov cocktails at a group of elderly people in their late 60s, in their late 80s, he yelled, "Are you Zionists? We need to end Zionists. Free Palestine."
And of course, online, anytime something happened, people think it's a false flag. And that's just because you ask who benefits from something like this. And clearly, Greenblatt, ADL, Zionists benefit from crazy Muslim dudes going out and attacking random people. But to think that, like, with so many millions, hundreds of millions of people around the world that are upset with what's happening in Gaza, it's been going on for like almost 2 years now. It's just so inevitable that stuff like this is going to happen. Leo Terrell, senior counsel to the Justice Department, says, "We will eliminate anti-Semitism with Netanyahu and Trump." You're going to eliminate people's opinions on Israel and Jews and Zionism? How are you going to do that? No, and this is just bizarre too. Like, how insane are the left? You know, I'm a huge critic of Israel and Zionism and Judaism and what's happening in Gaza, but to say that you need to investigate this more if it's a terrorist attack, if this isn't a terrorist attack, how could you argue this is not a terror attack?
As we do that, I think the FBI is already calling it a targeted terror attack. Mm-hmm. Would you also refer to it as a terror?
Like, all this is going to do is just make the Zionist sympathize more and more angry.
So I've been in contact with our local FBI multiple times. We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive. I know.
Really? Everybody knows the motive right away. A guy throws Molotov cocktails at a bunch of Zionists protesting about hostages, and you're not sure of the motive? He's yelling "Free Palestine" and you're Zionist killers and you don't know the motive? What kind of clown world is this?
We are in contact with them here. We are not calling it a terror attack at this point. Again, it's way too early to speculate motive. I know
just because he's Muslim.
Media, but I ask people just to
if it was a white guy that did it, they'd say it's domestic terror right away. But it's a Muslim guy that they go, we can't jump to conclusions. What his motive might have been.
Patience while we work through a really complex scene. A lot of witnesses were here. We've taken them to another location to debrief them and interview them. As we do that, I think the picture will become more clear. But it would be irresponsible for me to speculate on motive this early on. We're only a couple hours into this thing.
Really? Couple hours and you still don't know the motive? Now, here's Dove Highkind, a big Zionist. Dude, it's amazing. You know what's funny is I'll see like hot Jewish girls that are always online and I'll have more followers than them. It gives me a glimmer of hope. He says, many in the Jewish community are beginning to question whether we have a future in America. Better make Aliyah. Edom's not safe anymore. That's the narrative they always push when this happens. Gotta make aliyah. Edom is not safe. All the Jews are going to go up and leave, and then Hashem will crush America. Remember Mizrachi clip? With the unprecedented surge of Jew hatred. Well, hey, maybe all the leftist Jews shouldn't have opened up the borders and brought all the Muslims into Western countries. Too bad white people don't have a white, chosen, promised homeland to return to escape Muslim terrorism or anti-white attacks. He says, unfortunately, at this point, I can't reassure anyone. There's literally been 2 attacks in the last 2 years since October 7th, and they're saying, we're not safe anymore. Please. Loomer says this is really not going to end well. We are without a doubt going to have another 9/11. What do you know, Laura? I just have such a bad feeling about this. Laura Loomer, the one who decided to leave the country when October 7th happened, now says there's going to be another 9/11. Another 9/11 on Trump's watch would be the justification for war with Iran. If Israel really wants us to bomb Iran, all that happens is there has to be an Iranian attack, a sleeper cell Iranian Hamas attack somewhere in America, and it is on. Trump's not going to sit back and do nothing when that happens. A lot of them were saying this too. And speaking of 9/11, Trump photographed holding his phone, holding his iPhone, and it's him pointing at you, and the time is 9/11. 9/11 p.m. Reminiscent of when Trump touched the wall at 2:44. Was that what it was? 1:44 or 2:44? 140, I can't remember the number exactly, but everybody's making a big fuss over Trump has himself as his lock screen photo. Little narcissistic. I once knew a girl that had a picture of herself on her nightstand. That's pretty weird. That reminds me of this. Never had a picture of myself on my phone as a home screen picture. Background, but this is like something you'd find from like a cringe MAGA Trump worshiper, but he's got it of himself. And also I can't not notice that Trump 9/11 connections of nobody's ever gotten a picture of Trump's phone, and when they do, it's 9/11 with him pointing at you. Now, the Zionists are just so out of their minds with this shit. Greta Thunberg is trying to get into Gaza on a boat with food and supplies and medicine and stuff, and all the Zionists have the same talking point. Oh, it'd be a shame if something happened to her boat. Little Greta's going to be swimming with the fishes. That type of attitude. Here's Ostrovsky, human rights lawyer, says, look, the little jihadi is trying to get into Gaza to show solidarity with Hamas. It would be so sad if something were to happen to her flotilla.
So now we are here
in other words, they want Israel to blow up her boat.
Hello, I am currently standing on the Madeleine, the ship that...
And they wonder why people don't like them when they say shit like this.
Hello, I am currently standing on the Madeleine, the ship that on Sunday, June 1st, will attempt to again sail towards Gaza and to try to break the siege and open up a humanitarian corridor by delivering aid like food and medical.
Let's go. We got over 530 people watching just between Rumble and Odysee. Let's get some power chats in here, guys. Links in the description below. Every dollar helps. It's only possible because you guys.
The last time we...
Yeah, just like they bulldozed Rachel Corrie, exactly. The same attitude. They want to see her blown up just like Rachel Corrie.
Attempted this about a month ago. The boat Conscience that we were about to board just a couple of hours before we were planning to board and set sail. It got bombed twice.
Did you know? I hadn't even heard of this. Speaking of blowing it up, they already blew up her last boat. She tried to get on a boat and go to Gaza a couple months ago, I think she said, and they blew it up before she left.
Conscience that we were about to board, just a couple of hours before we were planning to board and set sail. It got bombed twice, and all evidence suggests that it was Israel who did it.
Oh my God.
So now we are here in Catania, outside of Sicily, to try to continue our mission to try again. Because currently we are watching a systematic starvation of 2 million people, a live stream genocide, and the world's silence is deadly. That is why we have to keep trying everything we can, even if the odds are against us, to try to protest and do everything we can to stand against Israel's atrocities and war crimes, and to support and stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. So keep your eyes on deck, continue flooding the streets, organize, boycott, and do everything in your power to stand for Palestine.
How dare you? Yeah, chat. And then the human rights activist says, it would be so sad if something were to happen to her. These people are murderous psychos. Here's another one. Lindsey Graham says, hope Greta and her friends can swim. Truly despicable, truly psychopathic. Will Chamberlain, another Zionist stooge that has had me blocked for years. The Israelis could do the funniest thing. It would be so funny if they blew up Greta in her boat. Game of Thrones actor reveals he is going to break the siege in Gaza with Greta Thunberg and 10 other activists. Remember Ken O'Keefe was on a flotilla years ago, maybe decades ago, to get into Gaza, and they IDF like hijacked the ship and tried to like fight everybody and then arrested everybody.
Deliver the much needed aid, because for 3 months.
Okay, hi, I'm Liam.
What was this guy's name in Game of Thrones? He was like the wise counselor guy. He was a good guy. He was the good guy that was nice to the little girl that they burned at the stake, that had like the skin disease or whatever. Forgetting his name. He was the Chad. He was a Chad.
Okay.
Who's gonna get it first in the chat?
Yes, man, Tiago. If you look in the background, beautiful boats. These beautiful people are going to be going to break the siege in
Davos.
These are our coordinators.
Yeah. Good job, JTC.
If they may use it, they won't use the word our heroes. Please tell them we are here.
Hi, my name is Yasmin. I'm from Germany. I'm a German citizen, and I feel it's my duty to be here because Germany is the second largest weapon supplier to this genocide. For 19 months, they have been supplying weapons over weapons. They have not stopped aiding and abetting the genocide.
Germany's supplying the weapons?
Archie,
thank you, Archie.
Keep on trucking.
Oh, I will. Not stopping. Can't stop. Won't stop.
Garrett,
thanks,
sent
buddy.
$10. I'm in
Poland.
Poland. 99% white and the women are 95% fit. It's glorious.
Well, good for you. I'm happily married. Otherwise, that would make me want to go to Poland. Germany. I'm hearing Germany are all a bunch of secret Nazis. How many millions are they funding Israel with the reparations, forced funding?
And I'm here on the Madeleine to sail to Gaza to deliver the much needed aid, because for 3 months we have been seeing nothing but destruction. I mean, 19 months of destruction, but 3 months we have been seeing starvation. And the world is supporting that. Instead of stopping the genocide, instead of upholding humanity and international law, they're stepping on it with their feet. And that is why we are here. And we hope we can get to Gaza to deliver this aid and to deliver hope and to tell the Palestinians that they are not forgotten, that we are in solidarity with them, with an action.
It's very important that you share this action, not because of us, but we are doing this in solidarity with the Palestinian people. We are doing this to break the siege, to create a people's humanitarian corridor. So our boat is very small. We're carrying food, aid, medicine, we are carrying crutches.
John
Yo,
Wright
John.
$30 30 shekels for the best show on the planet. This AI is the most sinister horror that they plan to unleash on us. These sons of beaches are literally engineering hell on Earth. If you doubt that evil exists, this is it.
Seriously. Things are getting real.
Liam Jarrett sent $10. The Dave Chappelle can't stop, won't stop rare was epic. I do it all the time.
Yeah. Dave Chappelle, can't stop, won't stop. Maybe that needs to be added to the soundboard. You know, honestly, I've been thinking, remember I said before the election, I'm like, I think if Trump gets back in and things are happening where it looks like World War III is going to start, like, it would be smart to, like, get the family and, like, leave somewhere safe, South America or wherever. I don't know. I still don't know. But honestly, I'm starting to think maybe that's that time, the way things are looking with Iran, with Russia. Things are not looking good. With the AI.
They're carrying prosthetics for amputated children. We're carrying water filters. It's a drop in the ocean for the necessities of the Palestinian people in Gaza, living 8 decades of genocide and ethnic cleansing. But it's an ocean that will get bigger with every action. With you going to demonstrations, with you doing boycotts, with you disrupting arm factories, with you breaking the media blockade, producing content to break the boycott of social media as well. We're all together in the same struggle. Thank you so much.
The international community is breaking international law.
The Jews see this and they're just like, blow it up, blow them up. They're terrorists. Amalekites, blow them up.
That's why we're here. We're doing the job that they're supposed to do.
Shut it down.
Follow us, watch our progress, and make sure no harm comes to these beautiful people's heads.
Thank you so much, Lee. We are together.
So there was an MMA fight this week. Some Irishman beat up an Israeli and screamed "Free Palestine" in his face while he's on the ground. Let's see this. Optics Prime.
Optics Prime sent $5 on Rumble. Germany is clearly responsible for this genocide by supplying weapons to the innocent Israelis.
Nah, she wasn't saying they were innocent. But good one. Thank you, Optics Prime. A Jew cage fighter? Gotta be fake. Are there any Jews in the UFC? Okay, so we got some hot Indian girl, valedictorian at MIT. She gave her speech about Palestine, and apparently they tried to like pull her speak. They tried to fuck with her for this.
You showed the world that MIT wants a free Palestine.
Dude, how many Indians are at MIT? Not one white person in the crowd.
Last spring, MIT's undergraduate body and graduate student union voted overwhelmingly to cut ties with the genocidal Israeli military. You called for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza. And you stood in solidarity with the pro-Palestine activists on campus. You faced threats, intimidation, and suppression coming from all directions, especially your own university officials. But you prevailed because the MIT community that I know would never tolerate a genocide.
Aryan Queen right here.
Right now, while
we was Jeet's Aryan Queen.
Our lives, there are no universities left in Gaza. We are watching Israel try to wipe Palestine off the face of the earth, and it is a shame that MIT is a part of it. The Israeli occupation forces are the only foreign military that MIT has research ties with. This means that
I hear some Zionist Jews in the crowd screaming his head off. Hold on, what's this girl's name? I want to see the news that was about her and find out exactly what happened to her. Sally Kornbluth? Oh, wait, no, her name is Vamuri. She did not address... Oh, the president is Jewish, Kornbluth, who spoke immediately after Vamuri did not address her remarks. She had been called to testify about anti-Semitism. Okay, MIT's 2025 commencement. Class president Mega Vamuri condemned the university's ties. All right.
Assault on the Palestinian people is not only aided and abetted by our country, but our school. As scientists, engineers, academics, and leaders, We have a commitment to support life, support aid efforts, and call for an arms embargo, and keep demanding now, as alumni, that MIT cuts the ties.
Chat agrees she's pretty, huh?
$5. My campus is basically a little India in Florida. Most of them are actually more pro-Israeli because of the Hindu/Muslim beef.
Right, yeah, they usually are. She's a rare gem amongst the Zionist Pajits. I've been noticing a lot more Indians around me too lately, like at the amusement parks and stuff, just around town in the neighborhood. Pass, conspiracy truther.
Now, I invite you all to join me in the tradition of turning the ring. Please raise your brass rat or grad rat bearing hands, and as you lift it off your fingers, notice that the beaver is no longer facing you. It is now facing the world. This is a world that we will be entering with an immeasurable responsibility. We will carry with us the stamp of the MIT name, the same name that is directly complicit in the ongoing genocide of the Palestinian people. And so we carry with us the obligation to do everything we can to stop it. Class of 2025, you are MIT. Pressure is nothing to you. I know you will take it head on, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you, and congratulations again.
The Zionists are like, she'll never get hired anywhere. She'll be destroyed. Get her. Arrest her. Oh, look at this. Hold on. There's some more news about it. Uh-oh, come on. We're freezing. Here, what does this say here? Come on. MIT president banned from graduation ceremony after pro-Palestinian. MIT did not like its class president speaking up about Gaza. Jewish students storm out of MIT commencement after class president accuses them of genocide. Barred from graduation. Mega. Elon Musk says, great article by the Atlantic, the Zionist Atlantic, says the rise of Emperor Kekius Maximus, more Trump, or not Trump, Elon, the Emperor of Edom, 126,000 likes. Only 13 from my Emperor of Edom quote. A little too esoteric for people, apparently. Now, let's get on to the Vikings. We was kings. This is... Oh, wait, shoot, I missed that. Here you go. That was that. Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained, Goyim?
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
It's not you're here for the fall of Edom? Oh, that's the other thing, too, that was on the 1984 post. Apparently, the program that NSO Group, the Israeli tech company, tried to work with Trump was called Project Rome. Project Rome. Everyone show your beavers. Okay. Telegraph says Vikings were not all white, pupils to be told. Charities Guidance for Tutors advises decolonization of lessons to ditch Eurocentric ideas. We can't even have Vikings anymore. Can't even have Scandinavian. Whites can't even have Scandinavian Vikings. Vikings were very diverse and not all white, according to Guide to a Teaching School Children. Yeah, I'm sure Scandinavians weren't white. White erasure. Propaganda. British pupils are taught that Vikings were not all white. We can't have anything of our own, huh? They did the Netflix queen. Right, they had the black Viking queen on the Netflix show. We know what they're up to. Can't have no culture or history or heritage. I take personal offense to trying to say Vikings weren't white. Vikings were not all white, and some were Muslim, pupils to be told, an effort to ditch Eurocentric ideas. 35,000 likes. All the shows, all the European princesses and kings, they're all recasting as black. They want to erase and blot out our memory. False, retarded, and anti-white. Like on all the shows, they're recasting white historical figures as blacks. To erase us, they want to erase our history. Relentlessly attacking white people. Vikings were not all white, peoples to be told. We Irish were never homogenous, always hybrids, always mongrels. So Britain was never white, it's cultural genocide. Britain was never white, the English were never white, the Vikings weren't white. America was never white. Same thing they always want to say, just total bullshit. Their anti-white agenda is total mask off, and they will lie about anything. Jenna says, in 500 years, kids will think Vikings were black, looking back at all the old movies. Right. Absolutely disgusting. All right. So Harrison Smith of InfoWars, with his kvetching about Jews killing Jesus, plays the clip of Rabbi Shmuley. Weird how they killed him then. Oh, they killed my God. 16,000 likes. See how they killed my Jesus tweets go so super viral? You wouldn't have your religion if the Jews didn't kill Jesus. And on top of that, it's a Jewish myth and it never happened. Scripture literally says it was God's plan, his preordained plan. And you wouldn't have your God and your blood sacrifice atonement, and you wouldn't have your sins forgiven if they didn't kill Jesus. And you think that kvetching about Jews killing Jesus is going to help. It's the most retarded, low IQ anti-Semitism there is. And people just love it. Legitimizing Jewish myths and Jewish prophecies. But let's get to what Shmuley has to say about Jesus. Who, by the way, none of these guys, I bet you not one of these 16,000 people, supposed 16,000 people that like this comment, have read Rabbi Shmuley's book called Kosher Jesus. Not one in 16,000. I've read it. I didn't buy it. I got it at the library. I read it. And I understand how he thinks Jesus was kosher. And this is not his exclusive view. This is like a common Jewish viewpoint on Jesus. They say he was kosher, he was a Jew, he was fighting the Romans, and it was the Gentile Christians that twisted his teachings and made it anti-Semitic. That's what they say. But let's hear what Shmuley has to say.
This was restating.
Oh, and Harrison, where's the debate? You want to debate flat earthers, Tartaria, debate everything. How come InfoWars has never had a guest on that questions Jesus and never had a debate about the Bible and Christianity? Harrison, I want to debate you on Jesus, dude. Let's do it. On your show, in front of your audience. Let me explain to you how Jesus is fake and Jewish and how you're falling into their plan by crying about Jews killing Jesus.
Very foundation of Judaism, an eye for an eye. Jesus was restating Torah teachings. And this is absolutely clear. There is no break. Even where people come along and say, oh, but Jesus was trying to demonstrate that the old Bible, there's nothing old about it to us. Old seems to imply that it's discarded and it's been replaced. It's not. Our Torah is in full force, is in full effect and force. But Jesus says, for example, you have heard, an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, but I say, turn the other cheek. First of all, everyone knows who's ever studied Judaism. They're going back to the very foundation of Judaism. An eye for an eye was never translated literally as some sort of barbaric act that you would take out someone's eye. It was always monetary compensation. And where Jesus says, turn the other cheek, this comes from Lamentations, chapter 2, written by the prophet Jeremiah.
So Jesus didn't say it, and they're just doing midrash, retelling scriptures.
So in the book, I trace back all this teachings to its earlier Torah origin, because Jesus was not coming to innovate and start a new religion. He was coming to reinforce the Torah, as he makes very clear in Matthew chapter 5. Jesus was.
And all of the first Christians were Torah observant Jews.
Jesus Christ! Oh, Jesus Christ, you're such a little bitch.
That's Harrison for kvetching about Jews killing Jesus. Yeah, he is gross. Ben Shapiro promotes Jesus. Oh, funny, none of the Christians want to share this video. They want to bury all the Zionists like Ben Shapiro promoting Jesus.
Civilization cannot survive full-scale secularism and godlessness. Western civilization.
This was just at CPAC in Hungary. Again.
Western civilization cannot survive full-scale secularism and godlessness, and that's what we've been watching. And the restoration of church is the fundamental basis of a restoration of the West. I say this as a Jew. Everybody who grew up in a Christian household and whose grandparents were Christian needs to go to church. Everyone.
Every Goyim needs to go to church. Everybody needs Jesus. Everybody needs to be Noahides and follow Jesus, the Rabbi Yeshua.
Funny how all the Christians will just keep repeating the mantra, or I shouldn't say all the Christians, the e-crusaders online. There's nothing they hate more. He hates Jesus. And then we post these clips and they act like they don't exist. Funny how all the biggest Zionists shill Jesus, and then also all the biggest anti-Zionist voices also shill Jesus. And you don't see the problem in that?
It is deeply, deeply important. Everybody who grew up in a Christian household and whose grandparents were Christian needs to go to church. Everyone. It is deeply, deeply important that they go to church and re-engage with their religious heritage and re-engage with God and re-engage with an absolute morality.
Re-engage with the God that chose me, re-engage with the biblical Torah, believe in Jewish prophecies.
How about...
Forget about it.
That's my answer. That should be everybody's answer. They hire Jordan Peterson to shill Jesus. Hello.
It's deeply important that they go to church and re-engage with their religious heritage and re-engage with God and re-engage.
Hold on. Who is this kid and how is he already bald? Guys, is this that Groyper guy? Is this the Groyper that's running for some office that has the Mexican girlfriend that told him to love Hitler? Is this the guy who I think it is? Do you know who I'm talking about? He looks like him.
Engage with their religious heritage and re-engage with God and re-engage with an absolute morality that suggests that there is a right and that there is a wrong. Because again, all the things that I just talked about spring from those biblical values. And
you wouldn't know right and wrong without our biblical values. Without the Jews, you wouldn't know right from wrong, Goyim. Go to church.
There is no substitute for it. But if you actually want to, for example, have a civilization that has children, I mean, this is what every statistic shows. Religious adherence.
Oh my God, it's the ortho bro argument. Funny how Ben Shapiro, funny how all these Christians I debate, Andrew Wilson, Arvel, I can't remember who else, they always come at me with, oh, we won't have kids without my Bible.
All the statistics show you can't have children without the Bible. Without the Jews, you, Goyim, wouldn't know how to have sex and raise children. You wouldn't love your babies and want to have babies if you weren't for the Jews. Funny how they're all parrot his exact talking point.
Have a civilization that has children. I mean, this is what every statistic shows. Religious adherence and having lots of kids go hand in hand. You are not going to restore natalism in the West without having people go to church. It's just not going to happen. You have to have a national...
Literally, what does the Bible say about having children? One time it says, be fruitful and multiply. In fact, in the New Testament, it even says like woe to the nursing mothers or the pregnant women, like when the end comes. It discourages having children because the end times are about to come. Is this not is this not the Christian argument that they say, oh, you need Jesus because you won't have babies? It's what I always hear. That's your Ben Shapiro. Guys, we need to clip just this part. Clip together all the Christians saying we won't have kids without the Bible, and then show Ben Shapiro in there saying the same thing, and then say we wouldn't have morals without the Bible, and then show the Zionist Jews saying the same thing.
I mean, this is what every statistic shows. Religious adherence and having lots of kids go hand in hand. You are not going to restore natalism in the West without having people go to church. It's just not going to happen. You have to have a national mission. You have to have a godly mission. It's why the only country actually in the West that currently has above replacement rates of population growth is Israel, because it's a country that is largely religious. Even the secular people in Israel have some semblance of religion. And also because they're surrounded by enemies on all sides, and that means that they feel the actual patriotic necessity to have kids. That sort of thing can be restored, but you have to have civilizational pride, and that civilizational pride is rooted in a belief in a higher power that demands something of you.
Again, this is just retarded. I can tell from my personal experiences, it's retarded. I always wanted to have kids. I never believed in Jesus, never believed the Bible, always wanted to have kids. I have kids, I want to have more, love them. It's instinctual to want to have children. For most people, obviously there's exceptions to the rule. You goyim need to, and not to mention, like, how many Jews in the West have been saying, oh, white people are evil, and you can't have, having lots of kids is white supremacy, and why is Costco trending? I'm curious. I need some Costco news. Ben Shapiro, quote, I, as a Jew, have not only have had no problem with people saying, for example, Christ is king. I think that's a good thing for Christians to say. Ben Shapiro. Nothing they hate more than saying Christ is kids. Christ is king. I think this is a really good video. It's 6 minutes, though. I hear the family just got home. So, and we're almost at 2 hours. I'm going to wrap it up and play that tomorrow. We're going to end on another Need More Amalek mix. This is called White Power Jesus. It's a parody of Christian identities and delusional e-crusader copers that say Jesus was a white Aryan and white people are the true Israelites. So we're going to end on this video. Shout out to everybody that supported tonight or today. Love you all. Let me know what you think in the comments. Share the links, clip the show, buy a t-shirt at knowmorenews.org. There's only a few left. The new shirt designs. You guys are amazing. I love you all, and I will see you again tomorrow. Take care. Oh, and Big Tech made this too, the AI song. Video made by Need More Amalek, song by Big Tech. Let's go.
While Jesus Christ is there in child, 6'5", I do bad, going hair like a god, slinging like a racehorse.
Down with Yahweh, hail the old gods. I almost forgot. Thank you, Edom.
Jesus Christ. A virgin, but by choice. Could have had all that pussy. Could have fucked the baddest bitches. He was too fucking holy. Jesus Christ.
Of
the anniversary of the birth of white, blue-eyed Saxon Christ, who made an everlasting covenant with the British people, I'm going to demonstrate in this video that the Bible clearly states that Jesus is an Aryan.